Hey one, hey all, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be stepping back in time. A little while ago, thanks to Maximal 10, we took a look at the Aoyi Mech KO of the Studio Series Devastator, the closest thing that I've had a look, the closest thing I've had to looking at that Devastator. And it's pretty good. Certainly had its limitations, but I respect what was accomplished with the Studio Series Devastator. It's not the Devastator for me, because it's the whole movie aesthetic, and that's not necessarily my thing, but I know that for a generation of fans, that's their Devastator. But before there was him, there was the Supreme Class lad. Now I don't have him here in my hands, but we do have the boys over, ready, and waiting. Supreme Class, Revenge of the Fallen Devastator. That's going to be our focus this time around in the latest GotBot True review. Hey one, hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, man, please like, comment, share, of course, subscribe while you're at it. Light 'em up, baby. Hit that notification bell, please. It helps me out a ton. It lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, all the groups that I'm either a mod or an admin for, as well as all of my social media links in the description down below. Also in the description down below, and if you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. You can check us out on Patreon. You can see what we have to offer to you through Spring, or of course, you can hit the join button right here on YouTube and become a channel member. I'm still feeling a little under the weather. I'm not going to lie, I'm still recovering through this week, so the next review or two for sure, if you hear me kind of stumble over my words, or I cough in the middle of doing something, I'm still sick and still recovering, so bear with me a little bit. I've never looked at the Supreme Class Devastator, and I do know that it is vehicles that turn into Devastator without robot modes. That's a big negative against it, but maybe there's enough there to save it. Maybe it is pretty good. I've never looked at it, I've never handled it, so a big shout out and a big thank you to Maximal 10 for giving me the opportunity. So without any further ado, how about we head over to the table and take a closer look at this guy. So from episodes 928 to 936, we looked at the Aoyi Mech kind of KO of the Studio Series Revenge of the Fallen Devastator. And our good buddy Maximal 10 after the fact said, well, now that you've looked at that, you really kind of owe it to yourself to go back and look at a couple of the earlier versions of this Devastator. I have never ever looked at, I know nothing about the Supreme Class Devastator other than what's here in front of you right now. I do know that they are vehicles without robot modes that turn into Devastator, so this should be fairly quick to go through. I find the kind of layout of sizes, I suppose, a bit peculiar, but we'll talk about that as we go. Just very quickly reiterate who we have here. The two big boys in the back are Scavenger, of course, and Mixmaster. Then on the kind of outside, we have Scrapper and Hightower down on the far end. Not Hook, Hightower. And then in the middle we have Long Haul, the dump truck, of course, and Rampage, though it's kind of funny because I now would tend to call this Rampage Skipjack, because thanks to Studio Series, we kind of know now that the red lad was and is Rampage, and the yellow version that looks like Rampage is Skipjack. So it's called Rampage on the packaging, but I would tend to say it's more Skipjack, and I get it. Rampage is red. He never actually combined with Devastator. Devastator had a yellow leg, so that's why we have this guy. Some people for a long time called them Rampages, but we know now that there is a difference, so I'm going to kind of go with that. Very, very quickly, just to see, here's how they compare to another, movie-verse vehicle. That's a deluxe Bumblebee from a long time ago. I don't even know which one it is, but, I mean, it's okay, I guess. I do feel like Long Haul and Rampage are kind of small compared to Bumblebee here, but you get an idea. And just for another one, here's Barricade. Same sort of thing, right? I think that they're scaled okay, except for maybe Long Haul and Rampage. They should probably be a little bit bigger. We're very quickly going to look at each of these as I transform them into their limb or whatever mode, and then we'll look at Devastator altogether. This should be actually a fairly quick go. I figure the best place to start is with the biggest lad and the one who really is the core of the entire lower part of the torso, and I guess we'll say the hips. It is, of course, Scavenger. I've seen this guy loose over the years a lot of times, incomplete. You can see him there next to Barricade. Yeah, this makes sense. He's a gigantic tractor. I mean, you can even see the way the stairs are supposed to be molded up here. These pieces, they'd like to come off, and whenever I've seen him loose, pretty much they're gone. If you prefer, there he is with Bumblebee. Yes, this makes perfect sense to me in vehicle mode. He rolls pretty great. The bucket here can move out and down and a little bit forward. It's not the most functional thing in the world. That can move up and down as well. But that's generally it. The top is filled in pretty good. Honestly, when I've seen it loose, I've often wondered how the top fills in because I didn't know how this thing transformed. So I don't detest this, but like it's disappointing that it doesn't become the robot. That's a big bummer, and it's going to grossly affect the score at the end. We have the tagline of Scavenger and a big Decepticon symbol here. Like, yeah, it looks all right, I guess. I'm going to save all the scores for the end, by the way. So to do the transformation here, we're going to do this fairly quickly. That goes back, and this piece flips back, and that piece flips down. Then we should be able to separate these and really bring them around to the side, and they tab in. After we tab these in on the side, there's a rectangular peg that goes in a rectangular slot. We have another rectangular peg here that goes into this slot, and then we have another rectangular peg here that goes into this slot. And in essence, what we can do now is turn the, oh, that one wasn't pegged in. There. In essence, what we can do now is turn the peg over. Does not want to stay tabbed in there. I'll have to do that after. Bring this down, and that's really him in his torso mode. The legs will go on to like these hip sections down here. The arms will go attached up underneath. I will note this, that these go forward and back and out to the side. I'll note that now. And that's kind of it. Here's where we're going to put Mixmaster and whatnot. So like this is a big torso section. There's no doubt about it. Easy transformation though, so I do like that. Speaking of Mixmaster, we'll do him next and kind of get the, the main body all sorted away. I do feel like the cab is a little bit squat. Like I feel like this should be longer, and certainly if you know the Studio Series 1, the cab is much longer. So I don't know, and I think they could have, because this doesn't really get in the way of anything, and you can flip it up and whatnot. I will tell you now, luckily the electronics or the batteries or whatever don't work here, or the batteries have been taken out, or whatever it is that Maximal 10 done to this guy. He does not have the lights and sound, which is good because that's annoying. So we're not going to have to worry about that going off incessantly as we go here. Here he is next to Bumblebee. I feel like, yeah, that's a pretty darn good scale. If anything, the truck might be a bit too big. Again, if you want, here he is as well with Barricade. Like, yeah, okay, all right, sure. Why not? I'll note now that this can come up, and if you feed Devastator some little guys, they can come out of the bottom here. Otherwise, there's not really any reason for this to go up, is my understanding. In terms of the transformation, I think I got it figured out. Remember, I'm doing all of this really with no instructions. So like this can kind of come all the way back, but I don't know if it's supposed to come all the way back. Like there's another hinge here, so maybe it's only supposed to go like that. I don't know. I'll do it like that. If I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. And I'm not using any instructions here, so I'm just sort of figuring this out as I go, right? This little piece does move, which is like inconsequential in this mode, but you do need to fold it up when you fold this whole piece down. So we take this whole piece here and we untab it and we bring it down and fold that in. When we do so, there's a little square section there, and there's a little tab up here that goes into that section and locks it in, and now we have Devastator's head. Normally this is where like you would push down this button and stuff, and like his mouth opens and makes all the noises and all of that junk, right? Basically what happens is this whole section locks down in the body of Scavenger. I'm going to tell you now, it's easy to lock it in. It is a bear and a nuisance to take these two apart once they are locked together, assuming you've done it the right way. It locks super duper tight, but I can't see anybody unlocking this easily. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. But this whole section here fits down into this, see if I can sort of show it, this whole cavity here, right? So we have this whole piece like this, and then this whole section goes on top of it so that it looks like this. So here we have the whole head and torso together. Like I said, it's actually quite solid. There's a button down here that you can press that makes the head go up and like open up and whatnot, and it makes a bunch of noises and stuff. If you want, there's a way you can do this and like lock these kind of in the treads somehow. I'm not 100% sure how to do that, but like if you have a little Legends, like here's a Cyberverse Bumblebee, you know, you could come here and go, oh yeah, let's eat that, and throw that down his gullet, right? Oh, yum, yum, yum. And then when you want to take it out, you just open the back here and reach in and boom, there you go, Bumblebee's back out. So like, there you go. All right, so like this is a big Devastator. It's a ugly gaping maw of a head. I feel like it might be missing some paint apps for sure, but that's where we're to so far. Let's move on to the torso, or sorry, the limbots next. And here we have Long Haul. You can see how he scales with Barricade. I don't know, like I guess it feels too small with the size of what the other ones are. Like I don't understand why the cement mixer is gigantic and the dump truck isn't, you know? Or if you prefer, here he is with Bumblebee. Again, I guess it's workable, but I still feel like it's too small compared to Bumblebee. He rolls tremendously well. Really, really love the way he rolls. Again, no robot. What a bummer. The transformation is pretty simplistic, really. Assuming you can, yeah, unhook it all, right? So you gotta kind of zigzag the body apart. The thing that's guiding you is this, because that's what's going to end up plugging in. So we flip this all the way around and bring it all the way down. So we kind of technically have the leg here, but we want it to be able to sort of lock in position, so to speak. So we need to sort of bring this all the way back, and then we bring this forward. And that's kind of it there. You can see where this goes attached, but basically it'll stand up sort of like that, even though it's sort of gone off screen. You get the idea. Let's do the other leg. And the other leg is Rampage or Skipjack if you prefer. Again, like, I feel like that this is too small, but I feel like it's more acceptable than some of what I've seen. I don't know how big one of these bulldozers, I don't know what sort of tractor this is. I don't know how big it's supposed to be, but I don't think it's supposed to be about the size of a police car. Maybe I'm wrong. Again, here he is with Bumblebee. I don't know. Does that seem right to you? It seems, I don't know. The car seems a bit too big to me, but what do I know? Again, he rolls really well. There's a couple of different yellows on the guy, like this here, opposed to this plastic here. I do like the fade of the kind of sandy, dusty dirt down here. I think that that's really nice, actually. And you can see the like hooks hanging out here. That should be his hands in robot mode. So like, I kind of dig the little nods, but like it's too bad he doesn't do the robot mode thing, right? To transform this guy, we, again, open this out, bring the foot all the way around. We're looking to, see if I can fiddle this the right way. There, like that. There's a hinge right up here, and you really got to kind of turn that hinge. When you do it, it puts these down under this, and this sort of locks in. Well, it doesn't really lock in there, but it rests there and gives him solidity as a leg. Again, you can see that the attachment piece is over right here. This is a bit off screen, but I think you get an idea of how the legs are going to work. Here's what I find funny about the legs. Actually, before I say what I find funny about the legs, I just wanted to point out that on Scavenger, we have two connectors like this. One leg will go on one side, one leg will go on the other side. They are not interchangeable unless you want Devastator's legs facing backwards the wrong way. Why you would want that, I don't know. But it should look like this when they're attached correctly. The leg connection points remind me an awful lot of the way the limbs connect on Unique Toys Warlord. But what I don't get about this is why do we have the head and the torso made up of two gigantic heavy leader class offerings? Really, I mean, we're gonna say size-wise they're about leader class. When the legs are more what we probably call deluxe class, why would you put such a, like a heavy payload on light legs? Shouldn't the legs have been Voyager maybe? I don't know. It just seems weird to me, but he stands up. Okay, the legs can go, for what it's worth, forward and back. There is a bit of a knee and the, like, if you want to use it, and there is, the foot can go forward and back. But here's the thing, because of the layout of the weight, while you can move the legs, and you can even get a little, like, hip butterfly, I suppose. While you can do all of that, here's what I don't get. Why would you design it this way? Because the legs don't really have much function. If you move them from this, the guy's largely going to fall over. You can't get a lot of dynamic poses. That's a bit of a bummer. Let's do the arms. Maybe once he's all together, we can get something a little more dynamic. Who knows? And why not begin with Hightower? To be fair, the arms, unlike the legs, could go swapped to either side if you want because of the way the connection is. The connection, by the way, is just back right here. In terms of scale, I think this is okay. This is a weird crane thing. It's too bad we don't have the wires, I guess, that come up to here and then out to here, because otherwise this just looks weird. Here he is with Bumblebee. I feel like this should be a bit bigger, but like this is acceptable because this is about Voyager-ish size, we'll say. Taking him out of it, I mean, here he is with Barricade. Cool, I guess. No robot mode. Once again, what a bummer, man. What a real bummer for no robot mode. We have a crane that can go up and down, and this can go forward and back, and it rolls again just fine. They all roll great. They're great construction vehicles. A lot of these ended up, not all of them, but a lot of these ended up having individual, like, releases in the line that converted between vehicle and robot, but didn't combine. So it's like they did some of them as vehicles robot, and then they said, okay, let's take all the vehicles now and combine them. Like, I get it. That way you get the combiner and you get the robots, but you gotta kind of buy them twice. Like, I think that's a bit of a... I think they could have done better, personally. For the transformation, we come down here and we actually, like, kind of have to, I think, unhook. Yeah, we unhook these treads and bring them out to the side. We bring all of this piece down and then we fold these treads all the way in. And while all this says to stay up, honestly I find it's a nuisance if you keep it up, so I tend to bring it a bit forward. Do this and bring up the hand like that, and this is, you know, here's basically the elbow, or here's the elbow or the shoulder. You know the way the arms are on this guy. They're weird. It's the same thing with the Studio Series 1. The arms are weird on what you would call the shoulder or the forearm or the bicep. But there you go. There's one arm basically done. Which brings us last but not least to Scrapper. And I think that this is a good scale, I think. I think this works fine with Barricade and with Bumblebee. Again, like, he squeaks when he rolls, but he rolls fine. I don't think I got the front part turned exactly completely the way it's supposed to be. I don't feel like I have all four tires on the ground, but that's a minor thing. That's just, you'll see in the transformation. Pretty cool, I guess, pretty neat. We take these sections to do the transformation. We should be able to unpeg them. Yeah. Take that and unpeg them out to the side. Then we turn this whole piece around, and that kind of becomes like a hand, so to speak. Then these here come down and come in on the side and come in on the side, and they become his fingers, we'll say. And then you fold that tire up and fold that tire up. Our connector is back here, but in essence, basically, boom, here you have the other arm of Devastator, and both of these kind of attach the same way, so that he looks like this. Well, almost like this. I'm just going to show this here. The connector is down right here, and you just take this boy, He's the last one I don't have on. So we should be able to just slot that up over, I think. There. And now we have Devastator in his fully combined mode. And like he's big. I mean, again, here he is with Bumblebee in vehicle mode or Barricade. Just to give you a reference, I guess, of something more recent. Here is my custom Siege cliff jumper. So like, there he is next to like a modern day deluxe. So like, yeah, he's still a big boy. There's no doubt about it. So in terms of scores, like as far as the transformation goes, like it's an 8 for how it's designed. I'm gonna call it a 4 though, because they don't have any robot modes. I think that's a huge bummer. That really kind of kills this set. Then we get to, like the way it's designed is fine, it's just the way it's designed is bad. Then we get to the color, like, you definitely know it's Devastator. There's a lot of coloration here. The general layout is correct, but we're missing a lot of details. I'm going to say it's an 8, but I think that's kind of me being a bit generous, because it is an overly simplified coloration of the guy, especially around the head. And details on some of the individual tractors that should have been picked out with different color paints, gunmetal gray and whatnot. Then we get to the articulation. So we have, say, an 8 and an 8, based on the way it's designed and whatnot. But that's objective. Subjectively, I mean, the guy's maybe a 5. Let's get to the articulation. The head doesn't really do anything unless you come and you press this button to open up like his big gaping maw to eat stuff. The arms, as I pointed out before, they can go all the way around, right? They can go out to the side. There's an elbow. Both arms are like that, by the way. I guess there's a little bit of just fingery movement here. Again, a little bit of fingery movement over there. Not that it really gets you anything much. There's no waist or anything like that. I guess you could say there's a bicep swivel as well because of the way it connects, right? The legs, they can go forward and back, and there's a little bit of a almost butterfly there. Technically, you could work some knees, but it's not going to be able to support all the weight of this guy if you try to straighten up the leg or kick forward or anything. The feet, they also can, oh my goodness, like stuff likes to come off of this guy and come undone on this guy. What a bummer. I got to clean this guy up again because this piece just came off. And then we'll give his articulation a score. There, I got his leg back on. I'm going to give the articulation, while it's mostly there, like there's ankle forward and back, there's a knee technically, even though it wouldn't be able to support the weight. Like, it's there, so, I mean, cool, but it's not all usable is the problem. I'm going to say maybe 5. Maybe 5 for the articulation. This is about as close as you're going to get to getting him over on all 4s. If you don't open up the mouth and lock it into the treads like this, then he's going to be looking straight down at the ground because these arms are definitely not meant to support this type of weight. Overall, it's probably a 5. Like, it looks okay on display. It's probably a nice introduction to a Devastator. I understand why certain fans would have wanted this, but the Studio Series 1 is definitely the better way to go if you even like the movie Devastator aesthetic. For me, he's just not gonna fit the bill, you know? For my money, I mean, the Titan Devastator is my Devastator. I know it's not for everybody. I mean, there's a billion different ones out there for different people and different collections. I'll say this though, as far as Supreme Class goes here, like, I think the mass and the size is there for this guy to technically be Titan, because it's like this guy is tall and lanky. That guy is stumpy, but like very deep with his mass and stuff. So I think Supreme does kind of fit the bill as a Titan, so to speak. But when I look at these two next to each other, I really feel like that we have Devastator and his pet beast, Devastator, if that makes any sense. I'm glad I had a chance to look at Supreme Class Devastator. I really am. But to say that he is good would be a real stretch. Overall score from me, gotta be about a 5, even though objectively there's a couple of scores that go higher. But as it is, if you're only gonna get one version of movie Devastator, do yourself a favor and pop for the Studio Series, because it's much, much better than this is, was, or ever will be. And here we are, and here he is. Now, I said this guy before we went over to the table, because in essence, I can't say guys, it's just a bunch of vehicles that go together for a big robot. You know what this puts me in the mind of? As I see them all here, all combined up, and I know that when he separates, he becomes vehicles, I think of Energon Optimus Prime, even though Optimus did have a robot mode himself. But like all of the drones that went on him became limbs and stuff, right? I get what they were trying to do. They said, hey, you know, we have these like licensed vehicle modes, and we're going to do the vehicle mode, which kind of needs to be accurate, and the robot mode, and then we'll do like a gift set for the combined mode. I don't know why they chose to do it that way. It's kind of the same mentality of how they deal with triple changers, right? Like we got 2 shatter, we got 2 drop kick, we got 2 drift, rather than like an actual triple changer for any of them. I think a lot of that has to do with the licensed vehicle modes having to be accurate. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But as vehicles, they're great. As a combined mode, like he has stature, like he looks the part. Not super functional. I mean, why would you make the legs deluxes and put all this weight on it? The legs should have probably been bigger, heftier, chunkier than what they are. I get what they tried to do, and the way it goes together is fine, but there's a lot lacking here. A lot of missing paint apps. It looks okay. Putting it together is pretty easy for the most part. Getting it apart is also pretty easy for the most part, except for getting Mixmaster off. That's brutal. Brutal, brutal. I had difficulty doing it, to be honest with you. I'm glad that the sounds are not working here, because I would find those very annoying. There was a lot here that was attempted with a very weird design that I respect, that I like, that I think is cool. Do I think that it could have been done better? Yeah, sure. Studio Series shows it could have been done better. Even from Studio Series, do I think it could be done better from there? I don't know. It's such a weird, odd design that I think you got to work within the limitations and get the best you can get within those limitations. This is a pretty decent looking Devastator. It's not a great functioning Devastator, and when it comes to Constructicons, it's an absolute failure. Hard to grade this guy, because what is missing is so vital, that being the robot mode of all of the vehicle lads. Hard for me to look at this arm, for example, say it's Scrapper, when he can't become Scrapper. Know what I mean? And where's Overload through it all? I don't know. I like it. It's incomplete. It is what it is. Overall, I think it's 5 or 6. It's okay. It's certainly hefty and chunky, but it certainly could have, and certainly has since, been done better. Let me know what you think about old Supreme Class Devastator. Was he a success or a failure to you? And I get it. Some people will say he was an absolute success because this is their nostalgia, and I totally understand it. And now I think I have a better appreciation for the Studio Series 1, because now I get what you guys have been waiting for all along. Your Constructicons that could turn into vehicles and robots and Devastator, better articulated than this. I get it. Just like my Titan Devastator is what I wanted rather than the G1, I think the Studio Series is probably what most fans wanted rather than this. But I could be wrong. Maybe he still has his fans. Like I said, let me know what you think about this guy. I appreciate you coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. You can check us out on Patreon. You can see what we have to offer to you through Spring, or of course you can hit the join button right here on YouTube and become a channel member. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, stick around, have some fun with us here on the channel, and especially don't forget that somehow, some way, each and every single day, you right there, you do make a difference. And I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams on Thursday nights at the stop motion premieres, or the old fashioned way right here inside the videos.